have a confession to make, and that is that I have been genuinely nervous about making this video. I've had the MercuryX for about a year, and it is so deep and so feature-rich and so nuanced and so fantastic that I have been genuinely nervous about even attempting to make a video on it. Most of this, I think, stems from the fact that it is, in my opinion, the best reverb pedal in the whole world. So asking little old me to make a video on it feels a bit like asking a toddler to paint the Mona Lisa or a horse to build the Vatican. Now, I am not going to do some big, expansive, deep dive video on the MercuryX for a number of reasons. Number one, because they already exist. Meris have already done a fantastic job of documenting all of the nitty-gritty of MercuryX, as have a load of other creators. So I think today what I'm going to do is literally just go through the pedal, talk through the top panel, we'll get some sounds, we'll explore the different algorithms and stuff, and we'll have a look at some of the presets that I find myself using just again and again and again on everything. So if we have a look at the top panel on the MercuryX, it's actually fairly bare considering how ridiculously deep the pedal is. You've got your 4 buttons here, you can bank up and bank down. If you slap these two here, you get a nice tuner. That, which is actually a pretty good tuner, and then you can just clear that away like so. And then we've got access to certain reverb parameters on the front panel. So you've got decay and pre-delay that do reverby bits, and you have a mod control and a mix control over here as well. You have a preset switch here, which is notched, so you can switch through all of the different presets. You've got loads and loads and loads of Meris stock ones, and then you get into ones from other people like Aura on YouTube, who I watch all the time, which is really, really cool. And then you get into loads and loads and loads of blank ones if you want to create your own. Here you've got 2 other little controls for the on-screen displays here. You control, for example, these vary. Their function kind of varies depending on which preset you're using. So in this preset, preset 1, 2 worlds, you can control the frequency response, if you like, of the reverb. If I change preset, they'll probably change. They didn't, just to spite me. There you go. So here we've got pitch as well. There's some pitch shifting built into preset 3, I guess. And as we change, there you go, gain and resonance there as well. If we want to explore what those gain and resonance things are doing, then we can just tap that here. We can scroll through these. You can see they're called under the reverb kind of section here in these little bubbles. We can flick through the different kind of bubble options here. So we can change, for example, our preamp type, and we can then use this control here just to flick through the different types. You've got a volume pedal option, a tube preamp simulation, transistor preamp simulation, op amp, and off. And you can actually go through and then change like gain settings, for example, if you want to add like distortion, kind of, which is just so, so cool. You can also move these things around in the chain. If I just flick upwards like that, we can get to location there. So it says pre, so that's actually at the kind of the start of the chain, and then I can move that through different locations within the reverb kind of structure to change where I want to put it. Super, super cool. There are so many of these as well, which is just crazy, to be frank. So you've got filters in there, and again, the same type of control. There's pitch shifting, different pitch shifting algorithms, microtonal and lo-fi stuff there, different kinds of modulation. There you go, there's chorus and vibrato and like vowel sounds and tremolo and all sorts of amazing things. Excuse me, I'm a little bit sniffy today. I've got a bit of a cold. I do apologise. And then, you know, different modifiers. You've got LFOs. It's a step sequencer built into it, for God's sake. There's literally, you know, there's also expression pedal on the back there as well. And then globals, which will affect your kind of whole thing. The whole kind of pedal controls, like a settings menu almost there. And if we want to get out of that, we just tap that, and we're back where we started. As I alluded to a second ago, on the rear of the pedal, if I just tip this up, see if my phone can keep it in focus there, it is MIDI controllable. You have got an expression pedal in there, I guess, and then stereo in, stereo out, exactly as you would expect, and a standard 300 milliamp 9-volt there for your pedal body needs. There is also USB-C on the back, but kind of disappointingly, it only does firmware updates, nothing else. So no power. Meris do have a desktop editor, just pointing at my desktop over here. They do have desktop editor software, but it's only controllable via MIDI, not over a USB connection, which is kind of disappointing. I did get my Strat out and just do a couple of demos of all of the different structures or algorithms within MercuryX, just on a blank preset with the mix up quite high. So the reverb sounds quite exaggerated in these examples. Obviously, you can turn it in, turn it down and dial it into your heart's content. I just wanted to give a kind of rough vibe of what each of those structures sound like. Just before that we get there, let's actually have a quick look at what those structures are. So we would go down here, we would go to reverb, and then we see our structures down here. So you have got your ultra plate and cathedra, which if you've seen the video that I did on the Meris Mercury 7, you'll know that they're stock in the Mercury 7, and I love them to pieces. They're fantastic. And then we get into the new stuff. There is a spring in there, as you would kind of expect from a large format reverb pedal. Really, it's a good spring. It doesn't sound like a real spring, in my opinion, but it is a cool, very usable reverb sound if you want a spring thing without putting a real spring tank on your board. The 78 kind of series, I guess, there's 3 78 labeled algorithms within the MercuryX, and they are the stuff that you will also find on the CXM 1978 from the Meris Chase Bliss collaboration, which is a really expensive but really amazing reverb pedal with like motorized sliders and all sorts of amazing stuff going on. But they are also in MercuryX if you want them there. So you've got a room 78 plate, 78 hall, so those are the 3 from your CXM 1978, a prism algorithm, or structure, which is loads and loads of reflections. It's very, very dense. It's quite a small feeling reverb that's very large, if that makes any sense whatsoever, just because there's so many reflections going on. But kind of dialed up to 11, and then you have got gravity at the end, which reminds me of granular synthesis almost in a way. It's so huge. I assume it's called gravity because it's kind of that black hole type thing. It almost feels like it's picking out like grains of your sound, like granular synthesis, and then just stretching them just into oblivion. It's a really, really fantastic sounding thing. Enough talking though. Let's hear those algorithms. It's simultaneously very deep and very complicated and extremely easy to use. It's only as complicated as you want it to be. When I first got the MercuryX, I had visions of myself, sitting down and crafting these epic presets and using all of the compressors and the saturation and the step sequencer and all of these amazing things that are built in. But when I actually got it, I found myself actually just relying on the presets because they're all amazing, they're all really usable. And even if they're not exactly what I'm looking for, there's always one that's close enough that I can just get in there and tweak it a little bit, and I'm right where I want to be. I think it is MS-20 time. I can't really help myself any longer, so I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to have a look at some cool presets. I find myself using number 6, Into Dust, quite a bit. I said I'd have a look at some presets that I use all the time in my workflow. Just to give you an idea, I use Into Dust all the time. I have got the MS-20 right here. I hope my camera's in focus, but here it is. If I just turn it off, just to give you an idea of where we are, if I just switch that off for a second. So this is the raw sound coming out of the MS-20. Pretty cool sound, but if I just flick on the MercuryX just here, it sounds incredible. It really does. YouTube is doing it justice. I hope I'm doing it justice because it sounds really, really killer. Let's have a look at some more presets. Let's get into some more kind of extreme stuff. I mean, we've got to look. I actually use this preset all the time. I've just flicked past it, but I'm going to go and find it. I'm actually not sure what number it is because I'm a silly sausage, but somewhere, there we go. So anybody familiar with Blade Runner, you will know what's coming. And you have got again, you've got the pitch, you can control the pitching and the mix, the pitch there, so the reverb will be down an octave. So I love even just the octave down because it's so good for just adding heft without losing definition in the original sound. If that makes some sense, we can also do, what else we got? Pitch down, so kind of like Vangelis-y. And then pitch up. A fifth up. I believe you can also actually ramp, you can change the way it ramps up as well. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just flicking through the presets, having a look. Lovely, very metallic kind of shimmery thing going on there. And then off, so you literally just get you just get the lovely sound of the preset there. Let's do 2 more, I think. There is a step sequencer in there as well, I did mention. There are tails, we have got tails enabled, so if you switch it off, you don't just get a hard cut in your lovely reverb trail. Just to remind you what the synth actually sounds like, just naked. Oh, it's incredible, especially with the stereo stuff as well. It's just amazing. Shimmer Lake. What controls we got on Shimmer Lake? We've got a filter, and we have obviously our pitch mix. There you go. So we've got... Oh, it's so good. It is. It's so, so cool. There's so much in here. There's videos online of people using this pretty much to replace their pedal board. And I can totally see how there's people who manage to just remove the reverb element completely and just use like distortion and octave effects and all that sort of stuff that are already in the MercuryX to like cover Muse and stuff. And with, especially with all the pitching effects, there's so much in here that you can do. Ghosts. Demonetized for playing Interstellar. So, so, so cool, man. So cool. Let's do one more. Really, it's just stunning. It is. It's fantastic. It's absolutely, absolutely fantastic. What an incredible thing. The sheer amount of options and the sheer capability of MercuryX is genuinely mind-bogglingly unbelievable. And it sounds equally mind-bogglingly unbelievable. When I had the MercuryX on the channel, I said that what I loved so much about the MercuryX as somebody who's owned a Big Sky and a lot of other reverbs previously. I've owned like a the UAFX Golden reverberator and a few others as well. I've been really, really lucky. What I loved about the MercuryX was that it didn't feel like plugging in to a plugin in a box. With, say, like a Big Sky, I personally got the impression that it felt a lot like kind of plugging into a plugin, and what was coming out the other side wasn't my playing, it was a digital processed facsimile of my playing, which obviously it still is here. The MercuryX is obviously digital, right? But it doesn't feel it. It doesn't feel like a plugin. It feels real and organic and dynamic and lively in such a wonderful, wonderful way. And when you combine just the raw beauty of those algorithms, of those structures, with just the ridiculous amount of flexibility and signal chain management in there, you just get this utterly, utterly stunning studio tool and just pedal board effectively in a box. And I love that even when I say that, it sounds daunting. It sounds like, oh God, I don't want to use that. Like a pedal board in a box sounds scary, right? Like that's depth and options and menu diving and all that sort of stuff. But you don't have to. You don't have to menu dive. All of the presets are beautiful, but they're also pretty usable. Some of them are like, whoa, okay, not necessarily for me, but they're all pretty usable. I can see scenarios where you would use it, if that makes sense, which makes it really easy to go and find the sound that you're looking for, because all you have to do is pull up a preset that sounds sort of like it, do some tweaking, and there it is. It's only as menu divey and as deep as you want it to be. And for someone who hates menu diving, that is incredible, especially on something that, again, just sounds so magic. Literally the only gripe that I have here is what I mentioned earlier about the USB-C port on the back. When there was kind of rumour of Meris releasing a software editor for this that you could run on a computer and use it to tweak your presets and move them around and all that sort of stuff, I was really excited to get my hands on that and check it out. And then finding out that it's done via MIDI on the back, and you have to have certain well, you don't have to have, but there's a list of approved kind of MIDI interfaces, and then outside of that, it may work, it may not. I understand why it works that way and all that sort of stuff, but having a USB-C port on the back that could provide power and data transfer would just, and that this already has, you know, but it's only used for firmware updates, but having that there and not utilizing it for being able to do that desktop editor side of things does feel like a bit of a miss for me. That feels like a missed opportunity, just because as somebody who's going to use this entirely in the studio and entirely in a desktop format, being able to plug it in like that and just zip around and control it on my desktop would be incredible. It would be really, really, really great. It's already fantastic. It's a really small gripe. You know, it's still, in my opinion, the best reverb pedal in the whole world, and I love it, and I use it literally every single day. But that would have been really cool. That does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity for me. At £600, you do pay a heavy price for the privilege of owning a MercuryX. But I mean, my friend's first car was cheaper than that, and that broke down on the motorway after 3 months because the engine froze up. So with that in mind, maybe it's a decent deal. As someone who has tried the Big Sky MX, albeit very briefly, I do still believe that the MercuryX is genuinely the best reverb pedal in the whole world. Outside of the user interface and that kind of the way that you interact with the pedal and get the sounds, I struggle to see at this point how we can realistically sonically improve on this, but I look forward to being proven completely wrong. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. Let me know what you thought of the MercuryX, and let me know if you think I did it justice, because covering a pedal that is this deep and this expansive, let alone that sounds so good, is kind of intimidating. Yeah, I really, really hope that you liked the sounds that I got. I really, really want to hear the sounds that you get. If you have a MercuryX, do let me know, give me a shout, recommend some presets and all that sort of stuff, because I've had this thing for a year and I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface. There is so much going on. There is so much going on, and all of it just sounds absolutely wonderful. If you are looking to get nerdy with some like-minded people, there is a link in the description and probably a pinned comment down below as well that will take you to our community forum. We have a community forum. It is small, but it is lovely, and it is full of lots of like-minded people. We are just spinning it up, so it's all very new, but get in there, start some conversations. Let's get really nerdy and talk anything and everything audio and sound design and synths and guitars and amps and pedals and all of those wonderful things that we all love so much. Thanks once again for watching, because I really, really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.